Hello, this is Cameron Sabat from Cutting to the Case, Conversations in Orthopedics, and I'm here with Dr. James Kang. Dr. James D. Kang, MD, is Chair Emeritus of the Department of Orthopaedic Surgery at Brigham and Women's Hospital and the Thomas S. Thornhill and Karen N. Thornhill Distinguished Professor at Harvard Medical School. Born in Seoul, South Korea, and immigrating to the United States as a child, he studied chemical engineering at Washington University in St. Louis before earning his MD at the University of Oklahoma. He completed residency training at the University of Pittsburgh and a spine fellowship at Case Western under Dr. Henry Bohlman. A world-renowned spine surgeon and scientist, Dr. Kang has performed over 14,000 spinal surgeries and authored more than 300 peer-reviewed papers and 70 book chapters. His pioneering research into the biology of intervertebral disc degeneration and regenerative therapies has been cited over 22,000 times. He's also the author of a leading textbook on hip spine syndrome. Dr. Kang has held major leadership roles, including president of the American Board of Orthopaedic Surgery and president of the International Society for the Study of the Lumbar Spine. He's been widely recognized for advancing both the science and practice of spine surgery while mentoring generations of orthopedic surgeons and scientists. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in. You've mentored countless surgeons and scientists across your career. How do you approach mentorship, and what do you think makes an effective mentor in orthopedics?
I don't know that there is a specific formula. My own approach in mentorship is to, first of all, make some observations about my learners that are underneath me, such as students, residents, fellows. And you can't mentor everybody, but if there are certain people that look up to me for a variety of reasons and specifically engages me in that role, I take it on. And I don't think there's any limits of what and who, how many and who you can mentor. But more specifically, I've always felt the first role of a mentor is to lay the foundation by being a good role model, how you conduct yourself and how you carry on your academic work, if that's the life that some of the learners want to take. And in so doing, people get interested and ask me for advice, and that starts the relationship. And over the last 30 years or so, I probably have spoken to thousands of students and residents and fellows, and several have become very prominent, and that drives me. So mentorship uh, has many of rewards, and so for me, it's just watching people become successful. So that's how I generally view mentorship.
Yes, yes. And really, um, looking back, what do you think distinguishes trainees who go on to lead in the field, like the ones you've noted?
Well, I think it's a journey, and being a leader in orthopedics or any medical specialty is, again, there's no specific cookbook formula. I must say, when I entered into the field of medicine, I never dreamed I would be a chair somewhere. That was not my intent. I had the dream of serving people and helping people, and like all medical students, why we go into medicine, to treat people and hopefully make them better. But on the other hand, there's certain specific traits. And so for me, it's having watched many people that I admire. So it goes both ways. And so when I was going through undergraduate or even medical school, I saw some very interesting, prominent people, how they conduct themselves, their character, their moral fiber, how they treated patients. And so I said, wow, that looks like the way I want to conduct myself. And that's how most of us learn. And some traits that I look for are people that A, have to have high character, moral fiber that your parents taught you, and then people who take certain pride in maybe leadership. But that doesn't always have to be the case. Not everyone can be a leader. There has to be some followers. And every good every great leader was once a great follower. So I do think it's again, it's the ways of mentorship. You people, very important people have mentored me over the years, and me mentoring someone else is just payback. And I think that's just what keeps the academic circles continuing to revolve.
Yes, yes, that's a beautiful kind of circle that you've illustrated there. And really out of mentorship comes all these flourishing things like, wonderful surgeons and also innovations. And so I wanted to ask you a little bit about your innovation research as well. Your work has really been foundational in understanding the biology of intervertebral disc degeneration. What first drew you to this area, and what do you see as its most important unanswered questions today?
Yeah, I think back, I just went to medical school in Oklahoma. It wasn't a huge research foundational school, very clinically oriented. But I spent the summer in a neurophysiology laboratory because I just didn't know what research was about. And I got more or less intrigued in it. And when I came into an orthopedic residency in Pittsburgh, I decided to take 1 year of my training during first and second year to step out and be a research fellow in the famous Ferguson lab in Pittsburgh. Um, and I don't really remember what drove me to it other than me being inquisitive and felt I kind of want to know what research is about. And in orthopedics, there were seemingly many unanswered questions. Um, and so I spent a very pivotal year doing research, doing cartilage-based research. That gave me the foundation. And then once I finished training in spine surgery and I got hired back at the University of Pittsburgh, it just fit. I was a young attending, I had some time, so I there aren't very many orthopedic surgeons that go to the wet lab and start doing experiments. So I just felt, hey, I can do it. I have the training, and I did for the first 3 to 5 years. But that flowered into a lot of other kind of opportunities, and so it's kind of a strange journey. I can't say it's for everybody because most orthopedic surgeons are busy doing surgeries, like I am. But I felt that there was a unique opportunity as a surgeon to be a scientist as well. I didn't see too many people doing that, but there were some key pivotal people out of Pittsburgh that did it. And so I felt, wow, I could do the same. And 30 years later, that pivotal year in research got me enough foundational accolades, I guess. And ultimately, probably the reason why I got hired here at the Harvard program, because without the academic background, you don't move up into those standards. But I didn't do it mainly for academic advancement. I was, I guess, genuinely curious because the disc itself was very, very poorly understood. People just thought it was just a gristly tissue that was a shock absorber, but no one realized it was as bioactive as it was. And so I just published a couple of seminal papers, and next thing you know, I was the world expert. And, and it really is the way that happened. And all of a sudden, I became like, hey, you published some interesting papers that no one has even thought about before. And the discs are very bioactive with biochemical cytokines and probably explain much of the pain issues related to spine.
Certainly. Yeah, and thank you for all of your contributions really to the field over these years. In addition to being bioactive, you've also you were among the first to explore gene therapy approaches for disc degeneration. What was it like, pushing that frontier at a time when the field was skeptical?
Yeah, that's where innovation comes in and marching ahead into fields that no one really knew about. And this was 20 some years ago. We did the first gene therapy sort of protocols with rabbit models, and we garnered a lot of success. And one of my misgivings about, my research career that kind of got put on a standstill because I became chair and didn't have time to do all that was that I never brought any of that into the clinical translational world to my patient. But there's a lot of reasons behind that. Gene therapy still has some safety issues to this day, still has some safety issues because you're putting in a live virus into a patient. And if it's not a life-threatening disease, the FDA just generally won't easily approve it. So we have many other hurdles to overcome in gene therapy. I still believe in the fact that it holds great promise, but we have a lot more things to figure out. It's not as simple as sticking a gene in and let's get it fixed. That's what we thought, like muscular dystrophy. Just put in the dystrophin gene, and we'll fix muscular dystrophy. Well, it ain't so simple. So there's a lot of caveats to that, but I felt very proud of what we had investigated in Pittsburgh when I was there, and that lab still exists to this day, and they're very prolific in looking and understanding and looking for other translational models. And I'm, as chair emeritus now, I'm heading back into that and trying to do more research work with my basic scientist colleagues here at Harvard.
Yes, absolutely. And really, as chair emeritus, and you've led one of the most prominent orthopedic departments in the country at Brigham and Women's, and later served as president of the American Board of Orthopedic Surgery. What did those leadership roles teach you about shaping the field at a systems level?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a orthopedic surgeon, having done, as you cited, 14,000 opera, I've helped a lot of patients. But you begin to realize those numbers multiply exponentially if you train the next generation of surgeons to carry on the work. So if I train another, a couple hundred Jim Kangs of the world, think of the multiplying effect of how many people that can. So being a leader and helping organize a program such as one I was in charge of for 10 years, I feel very proud what we've done. I recruited 27 new faculty to the Brigham. We had the number of residents we trained are numerous. Not to mention the fellows that we have. We have one of the nicest fellowships in the country in spine, and I'm still doing it and now. And so that aspect of it is very gratifying because you see the future people come and become leaders and become great surgeons and make everything that what we've done worth it. And my role as president of these societies is just, I think, when you become president, it's work, but on the other hand, it's more of a acclamation that you've done a lot of work already, and people give you that's a reward more than anything else. But as the president of ABOS, we're certifying 25,000 orthopedic surgeons in the country. And I'm still on the board. It's my seventh year out of 10-year service. So it's a form of us giving back to the profession, more or less. So being a leader just means you're giving back and training and changing the scope of the field and the profession of orthopedics.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And really looking into the future of orthopedics, of which you're still at the helm. My final question would be, what do you think about the future of orthopedic surgery? More specifically, what do you believe are the biggest challenges that the next generation must be prepared to tackle?
Yeah, and I think, you mentioned earlier that this podcast is mainly for younger learners and students that are potentially thinking about a career in orthopedics. I would say, and this is a very sort of biased opinion, I think it's one of the greatest fields in medicine. Um, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I still love to go to the operating room and do my craft and the art of spine surgery. And orthopedics is, and I only do spine surgery, and you might think that's very funneled, but on the other hand, orthopedics has so many dimensions. It's for everybody. And there used to be this old mantra, you have to be a sports jock with, big arms and that's the orthopod, but it's not true. We need more women, we need more all kinds of people to come into the field to make it bigger and better. and it's varied in microsurgery and hand surgery, nerve work, foot and ankle, hip arthroplasty, sports medicine. It is so diverse that it is, and the amount of innovation that's coming out of it is enormous because the technological world is continuing to help us deliver better care for our patients. So robotics, AI, and who knows what's going to be the future, but our goal is to make the quality of lives better. So for the young students, yeah, I think orthopedics is quite, unfortunately, quite competitive, but work hard and you would be entering into one of the most dynamic specialties in medicine.
No doubt. You don't have to convince me there. But I very much appreciate all the insights and the wonderful, career philosophies, mentorship paths. It's just been an incredible time. Thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Great talking to you.
Thank you. This is Cameron Sabat from Cutting to the Case, signing off.